Live from the Batcave, Victor has arrived. Whoops. How you doing, Victor?
Oh, let me put the microphone closer. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's Friday.
Yeah.
The first Friday in February, so January is already behind us. January 2020 plus 2 is now behind us. Or as a friend of mine said the other day, we are now in the 26th month of 2020. So that's what it is. Vladislav, good to see you. Jivadan, thanks for everybody hanging out live with us today. Karan, good to see you. Another slow news week, but I found a couple of cool tools that some people may question. Why did you think these were cool? Maybe I can explain why later. By the way, if you don't know who we are, my name is Darren Pope. This over here is Victor Farsick, coming at us live from his not studio. And that's fine. It's all going to work out. And we're the host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox, which, okay, thumbs up or thumbs down. You can put it in the chat. If we were to produce the podcast, not only audio, would you also watch a real video of us doing sort of like what we're doing now, but it's actually the podcast recording? Over in the chat, or wherever your chat may be, how you're watching us, say either yes video or no video. And I'll look at them later. So Red Sep, thanks. I know what Victor wants, but Victor's not the one editing it, and I am. And that's fine. But anyway, podcast comes out on Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern. And this week, let's see, I'm going to try that worked. Good. Is open source sustainable? And this whole episode was based or inspired by this blog post by Filippo Valsorda. And he works on Go at Google and whatnot. But basically all digital or modern digital infrastructure, all the pieces except this one little piece down here, 3 people are using it or paying for it. What do you think of that, Victor?
I think that it depends on the project. If there is a commercial interest in an open source project, it grows. And then it successfully combines contributions with dedicated teams working on those projects. The problem is when our open source project is based 100% only on sporadic contributions. That's where we see real problems.
I agree. But shouldn't there be a better vetting process inside organizations if they are using open source? Just because it's open source doesn't mean it's being maintained, as we'll see a little bit later, right? I mean, shouldn't there be some common sense applied here?
That's in a short supply. Common sense.
Oh, I know that. But anyway. So the links for everything will be down in the show notes later, or where are we at? We're on YouTube right now. It'll be down in the description at some point, probably tonight. I think I should be able to get it in tonight. This is a really good blog post. And he brings up a lot of questions that I think a lot of people should be asking. And his one headline here is, the status quo is unsustainable. I think that's the biggest part of this. To expect somebody to work on something for free and then you're basing your whole business around it. I'm not saying that you should be paid for it. But if you as a business are just doing things based on free software and you're making money off of that, that's a business risk to you. There was another thing that happened recently with the guy behind Faker and what was his other package? Colors. He pulled those out because he got mad. That's what can happen. So you have to understand what's going on. You were talking about a sustainable project. Would you put Argo CD in one of those classes of sustainable projects?
Oh yeah, Argo CD definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Argo CD went through Argo projects in general went through the path that tends to lead to successful open source projects, meaning that there was a single company that was working on it, not really for much glory or commercial interests. Community picked it up. We started seeing contributions outside of that company. And now we're seeing other companies having commercial interests, building layers on top of it, and so on and so forth. That's a typical path that leads to growth of a project.
Yep. And the reason why I brought that up before we go on there, Maz, good to see you. Thanks for being here today. As Jivan says, common sense only when open source breaks. Yeah, exactly. Are you muting yourself in between each one of these, Victor?
Yes, is that
yeah,
bad?
don't worry about it.
Okay. No muting.
Unless you need to, don't mute. Yeah, it's fine. Vladislav, I think that's what was happening because I was hearing it too, and I realized it was probably him. The reason why I brought up Argo CD is there was something that could be, you could craft a Helm chart to steal sensitive information from an Argo CD deployment. This came out yesterday. That's a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah.
And they even, now I had not heard of, I'm going to call it API, or what do you think it is? A Pyro?
Pyro?
I don't know. I'm trying to say this name.
The name, I have no idea.
Yeah,
Pyro.
okay, whatever.
Let's
Anyway,
call it a Pyro.
Yeah, Pyro. Okay. And if you're from that place, forgive us. We're just trying. Now, I will give you thumbs up here. How many times do you see CVEs and it's just a bunch of text and you can't figure out what's going on? This picture is cool because it tells you exactly how to do it. Attacker constructs a malicious Helm chart. Attacker builds a dummy Kubernetes configuration using the Helm chart. The dummy configuration is used to exploit a parsing. Attacker extracts sensitive data and then goes ahead and uses that data for whatever it is.
So there is something I don't understand here.
Yep.
That attacker would need to be able to push the point number 1 to the Git repo.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that once you get access to Git repo, you are in deep trouble.
It's game over. Yeah.
It's game over, yeah.
That is probably the biggest downside to any GitOps flavor way of doing things. Is once you get to Git, if it's been implemented correctly, quote unquote, you have the keys.
Yeah, but let's say that you don't use GitOps, right?
Yeah.
But somebody gets access to your Git repository. It's still game over. I mean, once I can go through the code, first of all, I can steal your code. Let's start with that, right? Second, I can probably, it shouldn't be very hard to create an exploit once you understand how your application works and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be hard to push something to the main line that will exploit that application, right?
Yeah. They go into a full breakdown of this. It's a pretty long post. So if you're running Argo CD and you haven't patched yet, you probably want to patch. Again, they did all the releases, patches, everything yesterday. So nice fire drill for the people at Argo this week.
But,
so.
I think that's what distinguishes successful open source projects, meaning projects that have a lot of eyes on them, right, and a lot of contributions, and not based on one person or two. Once those things are discovered, they're usually fixed very fast because there is a strong chance that the same day or next day, one of the many contributors will pick it up and do whatever needs to be done. I always, absolutely always look at, the number of contributors and the frequency of commits and the number of stars and the number of forks, right? I never start using a project without looking at those things first.
Yeah. Red Sub brings up, can't you always read out secrets that way anyway? Yes, you can. That's the thing. Well, and Jivan follows up. It depends. If you encrypt your secrets, they may not be readily available, but they're still available.
I mean, if you encrypt your secrets,
your app would have to decrypt it once it comes out.
Yeah, but they're still typically decrypted when they reach Kubernetes secrets.
Right. I know you don't have a drink, but I'm thirsty.
I have Coke.
Oh, you have Coke? Yeah, I've got my normal thing. So anyway, if you're using Argo CD and you haven't patched yet, that might be your weekend project. We'll see. OSM finally announces 1.0.0. Do you remember what OSM is?
No, open service mesh.
Service
Okay.
mesh. Yeah, I'm trying to help you. It's all right there in front of you.
I haven't read. I don't know what open service mesh is. I mean, I can guess, but
This is what Microsoft
haven't read
wrote.
it.
Microsoft wrote and published the spec. It's the spec.
Okay.
So they were just trying to come up with, and the implementation was whatever it is. But there's OSM CLI. Am I confusing something else? I probably am. OSM control plane, blah blah blah. Okay, now I'm confused because I read it and then I read something else and whatever. Okay. OSM control planes are now multi-arc.
Huh.
Bug report. That's nice. OSM support bug report. That's actually a pretty way to submit a support request.
Oh yeah.
It does everything for a support bundle. If just use the normal thing, but okay. Anyway, OSM. Open Service Mesh is a sandbox project. So if you were to go back to the home, a lightweight and extensible cloud service. What am I thinking? If it wasn't OSM,
So
what
this
was
is
the
not-
Microsoft thing? What was I was thinking?
It's-
SMI. SMI was what I was thinking.
Yeah, you're talking about SMI. You were confusing me as well. This does not seem to be a specification. This is yet another implementation of Service Mesh.
I'm wrong. Yeah, it's Friday. Or is it Monday? I'm not sure. So is this, going back to Red Sab, is this different from SMI? This is an implementation of SMI.
It looks like that, yeah. OSM implements Service Mesh interface. There's the sentence.
Yeah, right here. So anyway, you haven't played with it. I haven't played with it.
Not yet.
Life goes on.
Too many
by the
tools.
way, okay, this is a little beef. I do not work for GitHub. I do not work for Microsoft. But I like when things are spelled correctly and cased correctly.
Okay.
GitHub, it's not a lower H. It is an upper H. It just bugs me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It's a small detail. Consistent brands are important.
I was worried for a second that you would say that that's the correct spelling and that I was spelling it wrong all the time.
No.
Now I feel better.
Yeah. No, that's it. Just a small rant from me on a Friday. So Google has now jumped into the same fray as the other people. Now, they've had their own library before. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. Cloud Client Libraries. That is not easy to say. And Google API Client Libraries. They still use the same API under the hood. Why the heck, Google, why the heck did you create yet another one? And they explain why, but why? And to not even deprecate the other one, or at least give it a, an end of life plan. I don't know. I thought it was just like, hey, I'm going to call it CCL. CCL, okay, these names. I'm going to say it just to say how stupid it is. Not stupid. How much of a mouthful it is. Cloud Client Libraries for Compute Engine.
CCLCE.
Yeah. Wrap the Compute Engine API and blah, blah, blah. Now, they may be, it's built on the standard REST, just like the other one is. And the client libraries make it simple and intuitive, just like the other one does. I don't understand.
Okay.
It just says enhanced developer productivity and ease of use by enabling a more idiomatic style. Okay, so here's the plus on doing this while I'm ranting. Here's the plus. At least they didn't try to wedge it in and start doing deprecations within packages that existed already. Just to start fresh, this is a good use case for starting fresh. I'll give them that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they probably had sufficient amount of complaints, and then they said that we don't have time to build it from scratch, so we're going to wrap the existing one into something easier to use.
Well, no, they didn't wrap the existing one. That's what I'm saying. It is completely new.
Oh, okay.
They're both wrapping the API. It's just that instead of taking the existing one and making changes within it, they just said, since it was talking to the API down here anyway, just give me another one to talk to the API.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No technical debt, no nothing else, or no existing technical debt when you're greenfield.
Then I like it.
Yeah, that's good. Anyway, here's what it looks like if you're using Go. Obviously, that's their joy, happy language. But all these languages covered: Java, Python, Go, PHP, .NET, Node.js, and Ruby. So
Yeah. I mean, I still don't see many people using it, to be honest.
yeah,
This seems like something that should be used by infrastructure as code type of vendors.
right. This is
Not
for
necessarily the developers, my applications type of stuff.
yeah, because hopefully developers within organizations are going to be using HashiCorps, Pulumis, whatevers of the world to
Because-
build out stuff.
You typically do not design, hey, I have a backend application, that backend application is going to create a VM where it's going to run, right? So it cannot be really part of your applications easily.
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't
Now, for testing, I would have another Terraform for the testing stuff. So, okay, whatever. New packages anyway. I saw this. This is old. Now it's not super old, but it's old enough. So November. So 4 months old. We've talked about Cosign in the past. And this is an emission webhook that uses Cosine Verify to make sure the image that you're using is correct. This is smart. This is what it should be anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean,
At a cluster-wide level, you should be validating your images anytime they come in. Or, this is what I haven't tested yet, when that image is turned into a container, when it's spun up, is it validating it prior to, is it also doing it in that part? I don't know. I would have to imagine so.
yeah, so is it, can you scroll down for a second?
There's the usage.
Example, subject, consign, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, server-side is a must. I haven't tried this one yet, but to me that's a must. And then we would be only discussing whether we want to do client-side as well as a way to actually, better be prepared before you make that pull request.
Well, it should never be either or. It should always be both.
Yeah.
You should, when it comes to client and server side, it should be both. I mean,
Yeah, what I want to say is that if you must choose one of the two, I prefer server side, because then I don't need to think, oh, did I actually execute the command or I didn't execute the command? Is it part of the pipeline? Did somebody remove it in a pipeline? You know, all the mess. Say, hey, this is happening no matter what you do. If I would have to choose one, but of course it should be both.
Yeah, I mean, this instead of having to have a gate on the client side, now the server just enforces it. No opt out, no nothing. I mean, obviously you can opt out because you didn't annotate it, but why this may not work for you. It won't work at least with private registries or ones that require authentication.
Oh man, now you ruined it. I mean, almost everybody uses private registry. Maybe for public image. This becomes useful only now for third-party apps.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing either, right? I mean, third party, just as a vendor app, right? As a vendor, I put something out. It is a public image.
True.
And those are the people that really. I mean, number one, you should trust your vendors, but you shouldn't trust your vendors. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, trust but verify. I guess that's the way I want to say it, the correct way. But anyway, I thought it was cool just to somebody actually did it. I'm expecting this though, because this did not come. This came from AppVia. I would expect SigStore to, or not SigStore. Where did Dan Lawrence go? ChainGuard. ChainGuard is the company around SigStore now. Tracy's there now too. Did you know that? Did you see that?
Oh yeah. Well done.
Okay. Anyway, something strange. Are you ready for something strange?
Go ahead.
Actually, before we go there, Stan, welcome back to live.
You made
Appreciate
it.
Hi. Cosine Verify, that will be implemented in the upcoming Kyverno, correct? Did you see that?
I haven't seen specifically about Cosign, but it makes perfect sense for...
For real, right? Because that would be simple at that point.
Exactly. Because realistically, once we start talking about server-side validations, things like this, Cosign happening on server-side is great, but eventually I do not really want to have 75 different ways to configure 75 different validations. So having it as part of OPA or Kyverno or any similar tool makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's where it should be.
Exactly.
So that's where this admission control webhook will fall apart at that point. You should have a real... lacking Kyverno or Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper? Gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper.
Then this would be the thing to do. Karan asks, is it different than Docker Notary? Yes. Cosign is different than Notary, isn't it?
I mean, it's not
conceptually the same. Yeah.
Conceptually it's the same. Now it's not the same, literally the same, but yeah, conceptually that's the same thing.
Yeah. I saw this. This came out this week, I think. I think it's what it is. So it's a placement policy scheduler. It's from Microsoft. And it's whatever. Okay. So anyway, most cloud environments provide cluster admins ephemeral nodes, spot instances if you're from. Typically these cost significantly less, but offer less reliability. True. Right? That's all good. And I'll go through here. Cluster admins are torn between the cost versus putting real workloads on there. Having the entire workload on ephemeral nodes risk reliability, right? So you're trying to manage cost. Hopefully you're trying to manage cost. So this scheduler enables cluster admins to offload some configurable workload of their percentage of their workloads on the nodes, enabling to decrease the running the pods without affecting reliability. And then there's a scoring implementation here. So if you were to take a look at it, here's the example config. So it's placement policy and a weight. So it's going under best effort, whatever that means. And then the policy is must hit 40%. And they get into the definitions here.
Okay, that's clever. So it's for a moment I thought that it's kind of, hey, this application will go to spot instances and this one will not. This is more like kind of percentage of replicas going to...
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if you, let's say you're what's the correct way to say it? Not spot, was just dedicated nodes, worker nodes. You get one or two pods there, but then you scale out to the spots from there if you need to.
Yeah. I'm trying to think whether that's a good thing or no. Not sure, to be honest.
Well, from a bursting perspective, it would make sense.
Yeah. But then, kind of like, you burst, but then you're not running it in spot instances because they're slow. So kind of like you're going to run all the extra replicas on spot instances, and you're creating extra replicas precisely because you have a burst that you cannot handle, right?
Yeah. By the way, just to call it out here, this is alpha status, not considered ready for production. So what it is. But the concept is interesting, though.
Oh, yeah.
Right, to be able to take an app and define how much of that workload you're willing to let be on spot and then just let it deal with it.
No, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out whether I would be more in favor saying this application can go there or part of that application should go there. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Too late to think.
Too late to think. Okay, never mind. I can go somewhere else. So here's an app. So I thought it was interesting, but not for the reasons that they say to use it. So it takes your HTTP logs and uses them to map your API flows and then define the risky ones. So I guess it's looking at get, post, put, delete, right? And figuring out the pathing on it. And it outputs a map that you can review in your browser and then attack the API to find all the anomalies. So if you have real HTTP logs for your endpoints, and here's what it looks like. They give you a little chart that looks pretty cool. Then off you go. I mean, it's it used to be called Firecracker. That's the reason why it says Firecracker right here. And they just renamed it Cherrybomb recently. It's an interesting app. I'm still trying to get my head around it, honestly, which I stay a lot while I'm here. But you can also pull in based on Swagger. So if you're doing a lot of stuff,
It's nice.
What would be interesting is to take Cherrybomb against the Kubernetes API. Like if you could track all of the master logs, the request against the master through kubectls and everything else, right? If you could capture all of that and then play it back, that would be interesting. But
Yeah. Now I have another thing to play with.
maybe, maybe not. It's still pretty new, obviously too, but it just I like their top line here. Stop half-done API specs. And that is true. You use Brew a lot. If you're on Mac, you probably use Brew more than
All the
any
time.
other package manager, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's one called Stew. Have you ever had the problem where there's a binary available for the application you're trying to get, but Brew, in its infinite wisdom, decides to download the source and put your CPU to 100% for the next 8 hours? Has that ever happened to you?
Like, how do you get? You mean by clicking the wrong link?
No, it's just like there's some apps that I use that every time I get them, there are binaries available, but for whatever reason, Brew decides, and it could
Okay.
be the version of macOS that I'm still running, that it goes and gets the source,
Okay.
right? Even though the binary would probably be fine. Stew is an app that gives you the ability to just download the binaries.
Okay.
But it's from GitHub releases or directly from URLs.
Yeah.
So easy to distribute. You don't have to have all the build tools that Brew comes along that you have to have for Brew. It's just it's an easy downloader, if you will.
Yeah.
And you can see here that it'll go here, say Stew, upgrade, FD, and FD gets downloaded and upgraded, and off it goes. Now, funny enough, you can't install Stew with Stew. You can't Brew install Stew. You have to curl install Stew, which is okay, whatever, right? There, at some point,
it's a chicken and egg problem now. Yeah.
exactly. Now, the other thing, I actually have installed it, and it does work, but Stew won't tell you if there's an upgrade for Stew itself. So again, it's right now a 0.2 release. So
Okay.
I'm cutting them a lot of slack. But it's pretty simple. You can say Stew install and whatever the path is, or specify a tag, or specify multiple things.
Yeah.
Or if you know where the binary is, you just give it the URL. You can search, browse, upgrade, install, whatever, list, and whatever. So it's a pretty cool little tool. I have to give him that. And he wrote it because he just had a weekend free. Literally, that's what he said.
Nice. Nice.
So Stew is pretty cool. We'll revisit this in just a moment. Conventional commits. Have you heard of conventional commits from a Git
No,
perspective?
Maybe
Okay.
no. I don't know what is
So
it.
it's a spec that is a convention on top of commit messages. There was actually a Google Summer of Code project a year or two ago for Jenkins to create a plugin to do conventional commits. And it's convention from a point of, okay, a commit of type fix or a commit of type feature or a breaking change or whatever. So you're basically baking in metadata to the commit message. Like here's an example of feature, allow blah, 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 or breaking change : here's all this. Someone decided to create a CLI for this. And guess what? This was actually released. It was 4 days ago, and it's a 0.1. So Stu was a 0.2. Well, now this is a 0.1. I'm going to install this.
So it's what does it do? Instead of git commit, what do you do?
You would. So that's what I'm going to show you. Are you ready? That's what I'm going to show you.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, I am too, because I have to find the right buttons. Hang on a second. So I have to stop the screen first, and then I have to share the screen again. I'm not doing slides. I am doing a screen. I wish. Okay, there we go. And I have to plug the button to go again. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm right here. And just for grins, I'm going to say Stu search czen. Do I need to blow that up some more? Yes, I do. Is that better? Can you see that better? Yes. And I'm going to search for czen. If I can find the C. I've typed all the letters off my keyboard. And it's going to search for czen. And it gives me a list. It appears by stars that I can install. I know it's this one here. Now, I thought this was interesting. There's actually, it'll loop all the way around. Or if you go all the way up, then other weird things start to happen. So anyway, this is the one I'm going to install. So czen, I want that release tag. And then the one I want to install, which eventually I think Stu's going to get smart enough to know which one to get. I think it probably already does know how to do it if it's there. Okay, I'm not on that. I am on that one. And now czen is open or installed. So now, what is the conventional commit type? Well, I want to choose a fix. And what's the scope of this change? Well, the scope of this change, if I go back to conventional commits, is, what is it? I don't remember. I went through this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is. So I'll say the scope of this is snow. And is this a breaking change? Yes. Provide a short commit message. Foobar. And provide a long commit message. Okay. So I'm going to say I can either E to open nano or enter to submit. So I guess you have to do it in nano, which is sort of stinky, but okay. I'm not sure if that can be reconfigured. I'll say foobar for the winner. Do I even know how to do anything in nano anymore? Control X. Yes.
I mean, it probably chose nano because that's your default editor there.
VI is.
Okay.
Anyway, and then I hit enter. Oh, not a Git, and I'm not in a Git repository right now. So
yeah, it helps creating messages. That's nice.
Yeah, but putting it in the shape of a conventional commit, because then conventional commits can be used in tooling and everything else. If you know it's a conventional commit, then you can rely on that for other things.
Yeah,
so
nice.
I thought it was cool. So that's the reason why I sort of saved Stu and czen together. And now czen, if you've got Brew, you can install it that way. But they take you through all this different type of stuff. So, but it's, again, super like 5 days old, 4 days old, new. So
yeah,
we were talking about open source earlier.
That's the type of tool that can that might easily not reach many more releases, because it's not really that it requires many people years of effort, right? It's a small tool,
right?
Which is a nice thing, right? Small tools are good.
Yep. But is it going to grow big? Probably not. But it gave me an idea of, oh, this is pretty cool. I could try this out. Okay, so let me remove that. Let me add, oh, come on, stop the screen, share the screen. I've got to come up with a better way to do this. This is the one thing I can't do separately. Okay. Anyway, and we'll add this back in. Okay, so that's czen. You did some stuff with Carpenter recently, I think.
Yeah.
Recently. There is now an official module for Terraform. Not official, but official. It's coming from the Amazon GitHub as one of the contributors.
Yeah, I don't want it.
You don't want what? You don't want Carpenter, or you don't want the module?
No, I don't want Carpenter installable like this. I want Carpenter to I want, okay, let's forget Carpenter for a second. I want AWS finally to give me a checkbox or a parameter or a flag. Yes, there is autoscaler. You want autoscaler, like everybody else does. And since we're talking about Carpenter, I would like that Carpenter is behind the checkbox, right? I honestly do not. I think that we are way past the point in time where we should be executing. I mean, there are quite a few commands you need to execute to make Carpenter work, and we are way beyond that. It should be simply one of the arguments when you create a cluster. And then after that, I can configure Carpenter to do exactly what I want and what's not, right? But the initial setup should be just a checkbox.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
But until that happens, I think that this is great.
Right, and it's a step. Right, steps are good. Well, this is what I would do with the previous autoscaler. Right, a variation of this is I would have to get that installed, and it's just what you had to do. At least here, if you're doing everything via Terraform, at least now there is a way to do Carpenter.
It's very nice.
Yeah, I'll go with GVOD on this one. Hey, check out the latest AWS load balancer controller install. Not a checkbox. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
That one I'm painfully aware of. Victor is not happy with AWS. No, that's not true.
AWS is great. I sound unhappy when I speak about AWS. I think that AWS is amazing. It's potentially the best cloud solution we have. I'm just saying that AWS does not make our lives easy. So if we're talking about simplicity of how to manage resources, AWS is horrible. As a vendor, as its services are great, absolutely great, but not easy to manage.
Correct. I've got one more AWS thing here. CodeGuru. Have you played with CodeGuru yet? Boy,
a while ago. Not sufficiently.
So, dealing with CodeGuru from the command line was painful, to say the least.
Okay.
So now they've written a wrapper around the AWS CLI that's now the CodeGuru Reviewer CLI. Hui. My mouth isn't working today. Nothing surprising here. You have to set up the correct IAM permissions and, just what you would expect. And then you download the CLI, and then you would do your project, whatever it is, and then you would run the command, which makes it simple. It's a nice, simple one-liner. Compared to what you used to have to do, this is super great.
Yeah.
I have this set up. I've almost got it running. I'm still not convinced. But that's just me. I'm not. Based on the pricing model is what has me thrown off compared to others in the space. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine. I mean, heck, they've got all the time. But the reason why it sort of tweaked to me is I saw it running from CI/CD. But if I have it hooked up to my repository, which is how you have to set up the code reviewer, code reviewer, I don't understand. I mean, I understand why you do it, but I don't. It's just, it's what it is. Now, what I did see here, interestingly enough, not today, but when I was looking at this is written as a Java command line using J, whatever the heck it was.
Okay.
JCommander. That's what I was looking for, JCommander.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
What is JCommander? Like CLI?
It's like Cobra.
Okay, cool.
It's in that same thing. So czen was written in Rust. And then Stew was written in Go.
Okay.
So I guess I'm being biased towards languages that actually exist versus JavaScript. I wonder, what is this one? Oh, it's just all Terraform, right? That doesn't matter.
That's Terraform, yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So being able to look and see, actually, in this video, we've got 3 different CLIs. We have Stew, which is Go, which I didn't check. Well, let's check it real quick. Is he using
Cobra?
Is he using Cobra or not? Let's see. Let's say browse probably. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you hit the right file.
Well, of course not, because how often do I write Go? not enough to where I would like to. He's using this.
Okay, whatever it is.
That is. Okay. Anyway, I wonder if that's the fork. Okay, here, hang on a second. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole real quick. I'm gonna do this live. Do I dare? Is
Yet another
this
CLI
no.
library?
We're talking about looking at release dates and how active. Now, the last release was, I can't do math, year and change ago.
Year and change ago, yeah.
And
but for projects like that, that might be perfectly fine because really, how many things you might be missing in a library that helps you create the CLI.
Yeah, until you get to the point of the base OS, or excuse me, the base language has moved 116 to 117 to 118, whatever, in the case of Go.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, okay. All right. Speaking of tools.
Yeah, tools.
This was a compendium.
What does it mean, compendium, for non-English native speaking?
Compendium, I don't know. I just know what it's, I know it sounds smart.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's basically, if you want to find the best tools, this has all the best tools in it.
Not all, but and I received a lot of comments about, hey, you're missing this category, you're missing that category, I'm missing a lot of categories and a lot of tools. This is the things that have been focused on in a year, right? It would be impossible to include everything. So it's a competition or awards for a subset of what you might be using in your daily life.
It's a long list. And in fact, if you go through and get into the show more, you get to see links off to every one of the videos.
Yep.
Whatever.
They're all there.
They're all there. And all of these were done practically in the past year.
Give or take.
Give or take. I mean, really close. Probably last 16 months, though.
I mean, the channel started getting videos a year and a half ago. So
right.
Even if I used all of them. Okay, my camera just ran out of battery.
Oh, okay.
And I have only one cable, which is plugged into my microphone. So you're not going to see me anymore. Okay, I'll switch to a different mic. I'll be back.
Just do you turn on your laptop camera if you've got it.
Yeah, true.
Just do that. We'll get a good up the nose shot for you for the rest of the day, which is just going to be a few minutes because I actually have a meeting to go to, and you need to depart the bat cave, I think. There you go. That's close enough.
Yeah.
All right. So what's now you've thrown me off, but that's okay. That's why we recover. What were you on right then? The ZV10?
ZV1.
ZV1, okay.
Yeah. Kind of, if I go somewhere, I'm going to carry always ZV1 simply because no lens is nothing kind of.
It's like this big.
Yeah, it's almost the size. It's a very thick, small phone size.
Yeah. Okay. You could do a word show next time, the Paradoxes.
Paradoxes, yeah, we should do. That would be fun, kind of like to do awards for like Rotten Tomatoes type of stuff, right? Awards for the silliest tools or something like that.
I think maybe 2 of them would have been in today's video. They were useful though. I think both of them were useful. It's just
which ones are you referring to now?
I'm joking semi about Stu and czen.
No, I liked to kind of
they're
like.
Good. Yeah.
I was skeptical about it, but then when I saw you do search, I thought that, okay, now I need to figure out what is the repo of this project. No, search is brilliant.
In fact, search just showed up this morning. That point 2 prior to that, it wasn't there. So
It's advanced feature.
like it just came in this morning. My time this morning. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, we should do something like that. I was thinking about it. By the way, we planted the seed last week. We'll go ahead and plant it again this week. We'll nurture it this week. What's the word I'm looking for? When the nominations come out for best podcast in the DevOps category at whatever place it was, I don't even remember anymore. We need people to vote us in.
We'll do that. We'll make.
So just slight reminder while I happen to cross my mind. I could not do this. I could, but I shouldn't. I'll put it that way.
I could, then I will.
You can. I can't at this point. Yeah, that's a good one. Anyway.
Yeah, I need to see how many more bridges I can burn before I retire.
That would get you burnt pretty fast, I think.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we'll be back next week. Actually, I have a meeting to go to in a few minutes, so I need to go get a snack before I do that. We'll be back next week. If you're still here, thanks for being here with us live. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up before you split. And if you're new here, thanks for hanging out with us. Click on the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up or hit the what is it? What is YouTube? Can you explain to me what YouTube is?
It's television. You watch.
Oh, television.
Yeah,
okay.
With many channels.
Oh, okay. Can I see fun things on there?
If you want to see cats and dogs doing funny stuff, yeah.
Cats and dogs. I did see one the other day. Speaking of cats and dogs, I saw one the other day that somebody brought home a wild boar. It was a little baby wild boar, and it fell in love with their golden retriever. And the wild boar got very large, and was still living in the house with the golden retriever.
We're talking about live adult wild boar.
Wild boar.
I mean, unless wild boars are different than those that I met, I mean, they're big animals that are...
But they couldn't turn him out, so there we go.
Okay, fair enough. They must have a big house then.
It looked to be big enough. Vladislav sets us right, as always, to close it up because we'll ramble here a little bit. Everybody have a great weekend. We will be back next week. And if you've got any questions, head over to the Slack workspace and leave some questions because we're always trying to come up with better ideas or if there's content. We've got a lot of people that we're going to be interviewing over the next few weeks with the podcast. You'll be back next Thursday for DevOps Toolkit, live on Thursday at whatever time it is.
Yeah, Thursday something.
11 a.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. CET. That's it.
Something like that.
Okay. Anyway, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again next week.
Cheers.